The United States men's basketball squad was back in action on Monday morning, and they got their second win of the 2023 FIBA World Cup as they dominated Greece 109-81. Let's break it down for Team USA's win, and we're going to also look ahead at what's next for them with international basketball guru and contributor to the Action Network and NewYorkPost.com. That would be Bryan Fonseca joining me now. Bryan, how's it going, man?
Doing quite well today. Puerto Rico, my Puerto Ricans, we lost Serbia, but we did cover. So there's that. Covered that plus 17 and a half.
Oh, there's some wins there for the Puerto Rican supporters out there, so that should make you happy there if you had thrown some dollars down on that game. We're going to talk a little Team USA to start, and against Greece, we saw the Americans push the pace. We saw them get out for fast breaks. They cracked the 100-point mark for the first time in this tournament through 2 games. So when they're scoring in transition, pushing the pace, getting to the line as we saw, is that Team USA playing their best basketball?
Yeah, because you want to play fast and loose. And in this tournament, one of the advantages the Team USA is going to have, many of them, is just their sheer athleticism. And how they're able to beat teams is by doing that, especially a team in Greece that doesn't have Giannis Antetokounmpo, that really only has about 3-4 players that you were probably worried about. But for the most part, you were able to neutralize them also, because part of playing fast is also getting back on defense. And they were able to defend, I think, more than well enough to win this game by nearly 30 points. They were able to get out and put together these fast breaks and score in transition. And they got to that earlier than they have been. Something that I was concerned about, not really concerned about, but something that I've been monitoring since the scrimmages is this team they get off late, like in the third quarters where they start going on their runs. They happen against Puerto Rico, happened against Germany later in the fourth quarter, happened against New Zealand in the first game of the World Cup when this started in the third quarter, where the other team will hang around and then USA will finally just wake up and pull off and pull away. And against Greece, they did that earlier and started the process in the second quarter, and then it wasn't really a game from there on out.
Yeah, it wasn't really much of a game after that. Bryan, we got to talk about Austin Reeves. The Lakers guard, he had another strong game off the bench. So I consider this, as the competition increases going forward for Team USA, do you see Reeves as a bench player that head coach Steve Kerr can trust in late game situations?
I mean, it's becoming increasingly so that he's doing that. He's cementing himself as one of the key players on this team. He's challenging Tyler Hero's crown as best white American NBA player so far. And Austin Reeves has been very, very good in Team USA. He's actually been one of the best players on his team. He's outplaying guys like Brandon Ingram, for example, who hasn't really had it going at all so far in this tournament, or even for the most part in the scrimmages. He's been struggling. And Austin Reeves has been great at just, you can see what he can do offensively. He can shoot both off the catch and off the dribble. He can create. He can draw fouls expertly. He's competitive defensively. And he's a little bit more, this is going to sound like shade, but a little bit more athletic than you think. But Austin Reeves is somebody who can score, who can produce in a myriad of different ways. And this is why he was so effective with the Lakers last year in their playoff run. And I think he's somebody you have to consider closing most times, because he's going to match up well internationally. Like, his game is sort of tailor-made to be effective against some of these other teams in Europe and in Asia and the Caribbean. And in their next game against Jordan, it's going to be an interesting showcase for him, because maybe Rondae Hollis-Jefferson's going to have to guard him, and we'll see how he sort of deals with that at different points. But that's not a team that they should struggle with, and Austin Reeves is going to be big for them as they move on and face better and better competition as they move on in this tournament.
All right, we'll get to them moving on in a second. I want to talk about the New York Knicks representatives in this tournament. Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart, they were very productive in the game against Greece. What did you like from both Brunson and Hart against the Greeks?
Well, Josh Hart, when he has great games, you look at the rebounding column, and he had 11 of those today with 5 assists, and has been very effective just as a role player. And the thing that you like about Josh Hart, particularly, just a Villanova guy like Jalen Brunson, and these guys just understand their roles and understand what the game itself calls for. Not just basketball, but the individual game that they're playing in. Oh, against Greece, we need this. Against Jordan, we'll need this. Against New Zealand, we needed this. And Josh Hart just has an idea of where to sort of go for rebounds, has a nose for the ball, out hustles guys, actually boxes out. Is a good distributor from that wing position, actually had 5 assists, and that's something else that he gets going. So it's not even with the points. And then with Jalen Brunson, he's been the leader of this team, sort of the galvanizing force, and you know that he can create just about as well as anybody in this tournament in terms of getting his own shot. And he's just very effective, especially down the stretch of games, doesn't fear the moment at all. And really, both those guys have that sort of Villanova pedigree, got some playoff experience that is translatable to this FIBA World Cup experience so far. And I think both have been very effective in their roles, and they understand what the game sort of calls for, which is probably my favorite thing about each of those guys.
Yeah, Knicks fans got to be happy with what they saw for them against Greece. Next up for the United States, the matchup on Wednesday against Jordan. Bryan, what are the keys to the U.S. cruising to another victory as they're expected to at the World Cup here on Wednesday?
Can you stop Rondé Hollis-Jefferson? Is really the question. Who had 39 points and 9 rebounds, 4 assists. And Rondé Hollis-Jefferson has been the best player on Jordan, who, if you look at what he's done since leaving the NBA, he's been very productive in Puerto Rico, in the Philippines, where he has won a title. In Puerto Rico, he was playing for a title, and also had a stint in Europe where he was very effective as well. He's really the guy on this Jordan team that they naturalized him, and he's leading this team. He's the guy that Team USA is going to have to try to stop, which may sound funny if you're a Net fan watching this, like, hey, wait, I remember Rondé Hollis-Jefferson. He wasn't getting 39 points for the Brooklyn Nets in 2017, 2018, when he was having his best season, averaging approximately 14 or so points a game and creating from the mid-range area. But other than that, it's probably going to be a SmackDown performance from Team USA. Greece beat Jordan by 20 points. And as much as Rondé Hollis-Jefferson could help it, Jordan will try to be competitive in that game, but I think USA is going to blow them out of the water, and the spread is going to be enormous, and they're probably going to cover. And then we'll move on and talk about round 2 matchups against Lithuania and Montenegro, because that's what it looks like is in their future, in the immediate future in round 2 of this tournament.
All right, we'll see. Expecting them to sweep through their group. We'll see if Team USA is able to do that. Wednesday morning, they play Jordan as they look to go 3-0 in group play. That is Bryan Fonseca, contributor for NewYorkPost.com and the Action Network, talking some international hoops. Bryan, we'll talk to you soon again about Team USA.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.